Welcome, metalheads. I knew that this was going to be an awesome interview as soon as the cameras came on, because Conan from Exmortus got on camera and I saw he was wearing a Nietzsche shirt, and I thought, oh, perfect. I'm going to ask this guy philosophical questions and he's going to come equipped. And he gave me some very insightful answers. I've been wanting to talk to these bands more about philosophy lately and do less of those same questions that all the bands get asked. But then we did talk about his new album that's coming out as well, Necrophony, that's coming out August 25th, this Friday. If you love some super guitar metal, you're going to love this new album from Exmortus, and you're going to love this conversation we had. So let me not delay any longer. Here's Conan from Exmortus. Conan from Exmortus, welcome to Heavy Metal Philosophy.
What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing very well, and I very much appreciate you wearing the Nietzsche shirt for the episode. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
No, not necessarily. I just I thought it was a cool shirt. Looks sick. Looks like an album cover or something.
Indeed. Well, this is not only a metal show, but a philosophy show. So I want to start out with a philosophy question, and then I want to ask a lot of questions about your new album, Necrophony.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So first question, do you believe in free will or determinism?
That is a great question. And I've actually had many discussions about that with my dad. My dad was the one that kind of like, he's like the philosopher kind of dude and scientist kind of guy too. And he got me into like all these concepts as a, kind of at an early age. And I was like, what the hell? This is all crazy shit to me. But yeah, the deterministic approach I do like a lot because, it seems to fit in well with the, I guess, the empirical ideas. So I would like to think a lot of it is it's not like planned out, but like things happen in a certain order, and they do. But free will, there's a lot of a lot of ideas about that too, which is usually the religious side, right? Or at least the Christian point of view, which is it's usually like, oh, you did that on your own free will. It's up to you to do good or bad, blah blah blah, and that's how you're judged. But I guess outside of faith or anything, because I'm not religious at all myself. That's a great question. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. I'd like to think. You know what I mean? I can't really. I guess whatever fits the situation at the moment, whatever's convenient. But I do like reading Tolkien, and he's all about free will and stuff, and I like how it plays in a story. But realistically, I feel like the thing's a little more deterministic in reality. But I guess in art, free will is very fun to play around with. I think there's more it makes things different. Makes it better for art, I think.
Agreed. And I'm coming from the same place. I also lean towards determinism, but I do believe it's a bit of both. And the audience of Heavy Metal Philosophy has heard me say this a bunch of times, but I want to sort of give you my background on it and see maybe how that fits in with. You said it perfectly. Free will is very important with art, and maybe this will inform your opinion some. So I've always was a free will guy because, I pick my cereal at the grocery store. It seems so obvious to me that we all have free will, right?
Right.
But then when I thought about it, the first time I heard metal, I didn't have any choice about that whatsoever. The first time I heard that first riff, that was it. I'm a metalhead now.
Which riff was it? I would like to know.
One by Metallica.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that video watching MTV late at night as a kid, I was like, my life's changed forever. It will never be the same. It caused me a lot of problems, actually, because my family was a Christian fundamentalist family. So I'm listening to that devil worshiping music, but I didn't have a choice at all. It was immediate. There was no deliberating about it. This is going to be the direction of my life from here on out. And when I thought about it in those terms, it's like, there was no free will there. And so, like you said, it's more scientific. A lot of people, when they think about determinism, like you said, it brings up that religious idea, like there's a destiny, like there's a
Right.
controlling entity. But I don't think of it like that. I think that we're
Mm-hmm.
predisposed to take certain actions because of our personalities.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you said about choosing your cereal going to the store. That's in a way you by habits or by reinforcement of whatever you like to eat. You're going to choose certain things because of that. And it's just it's proven a lot of the time. Sometimes maybe it depends on our personality, right? We're like, I'm going to try something different.
Right.
But even then, that would be like influenced by something else. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never going to pick regular cornflakes.
unless someone from the Men in Black, did the whole little thing on your face and you totally forgot all your little things there, you might choose that.
That's another great thought experiment, though, because if they did do that and it erased my memories, how much of my personality would change with new memories?
Exactly.
Well, speaking of choices in art, I've always had this sort of theory when it comes to art that to become an artist, the first step is to sort of develop your proficiency, whether you're a painter, guitar player, first you learn how to properly do the brush stroke or play the chords or whatever, and you develop a base level of proficiency. But then once you get that, all art after that is just choices. Just, do I use this color? Do I play this scale over that chord? Everything after that is just choice. So I guess we'll transition here into talking about your new album that's coming out August 25th.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. Very cool.
Can't wait. Very soon. Coming up very soon. I'm very excited about it. I think before you ask me anything, I just want to say that we're very proud of this work. There was, it took a while, I guess, from the previous album, but I think it was worth it. I think we just needed a break mentally. It was during the pandemic, but it really is a new fresh take, I believe, for listeners, newcomers, and of course just our fans. But we really poured our souls into this, and we're just really happy with how it came out. We were more prepared this time too, so I hope everyone enjoys it as much as we did making it.
Well, I can hear that fresh take, and that's actually one of my first questions. So your back catalog, it's very neoclassical, thrash, and of course that element is still here, but this seems more direct and almost, I don't want to say darker, because it's still fun music. It's not like black metal or but it does seem it doesn't seem as like triumphant, man defeating other man and gods. It seems more like introspective.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we kind of emphasized towards the end of our, I guess, writing cycle, right before we hit the recording, before we started recording the album. We didn't intentionally want it to be that way, but I guess again during the time we started writing it was during the pandemic, and a lot of us felt hopeless about our careers and everything like that. So we were all just very depressed, trying to wait it out, and we're like, it's never gonna get any better. So we, after a while, with the restrictions kind of like at the time, lifting, and we started jamming more together, and we just started slowly like just getting into it again and finding new purpose, with Nietzsche here, finding your purpose, making something out of it. We were like, yes, we found a new purpose, it was, or not just new purpose, just was reignited. We reignited the spark, and was with some new light this time. I figured, and it's not always going to be triumphant. We haven't really dabbled in I guess other concepts. We're usually right. The previous albums are all very sword and sorcery, epic fantasy. While we still retain some of those concepts or themes here and there, they're from a different, I guess, perspective. This time more from like, say, tragic heroes, making like, they think they're, fighting for honor, but in the end, they're just cursing themselves into, I guess, oblivion or a perpetual hell of just, whatever violent acts they caused in their lifetime. It's in one of our songs that would be Darkest of Nights. That's one of those kind of concepts. Another thing about like just in immortality, is it will you relish in it, or will you wallow in agony in it? So we're just thinking about these kinds of things during that time, and I think it's pretty cool because I guess we kind of all could relate to these things. Because not everything's going to be glorious. So we decided to push, I guess, what we were naturally coming out with. We started to emphasize it towards the end and really make a very dark theme for this album, considering, the name, necrophony, and of course the artwork, another little fresh take of our stuff. We really wanted to emphasize the symphonic, necrophonic aspect this time around.
Well, I'm glad you said that. And because I said necrophony earlier, and I pronounced it incorrectly.
Oh, it's fine, man.
So I want to emphasize the phony at the end is symphonic, not phony.
Yeah, phone. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's a made up word. It's like symphony, cacophony. So I figured necrophony would be the pronunciation, but necrophonic would be cool too. Maybe I should have called it that, but
Symphony of the Dead.
Exactly. And that's exactly how we felt at the time. We like, we feel dead inside. We just feel like, hopeless and everything like that. So we figured this is a good album to, call it that and it pushed that sound. I would say it's a little more symphonic in certain aspects this time around. We actually we did a waltz, like pretty much the first track is like quite literally a waltz. It's in 3/4 time. And the Masquerade Death, the actual song it goes into, has a section where it's in 3/4, recalling the intro and stuff. And I thought that was cool because I don't think a lot of metal is just always doing 4/4 for the most part. There's many progressive bands and stuff doing even more complex things, but the 3/4 feel, it feels good, it sounds good. If it works, it works. It just kind of naturally came out. That's just one of the things, that we kind of pushed that for like a more classical sound in a way.
I kind of wanted, last several interviews, I've kind of wanted to avoid pandemic questions because there's been so many pandemic questions, but it's just, you can't really get around it, especially when it sounds like the pandemic had a real influence on the mood you had going into this record.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, can't deny it. It's like the elephant in the room, just it obviously had its part to play in our emotions at the time, our mindset. And, I'm not going to deny it. I hate to bring it up too, but it's just the truth. And of course, this album isn't about that. It's not about the time. It's just, reflections of our mindset at the time and our emotions. So, and that's what that's how it just naturally came out. We can't really. Why are we going to deny our feelings when we're writing music? We're creating our expression in our art. So why deny that? So it's pretty much why this album is way more introspective than the previous albums we've done. And like I said, I think because of that, it's going to be a really good fresh take for our fans that are used to the glorious battle epic themes that we usually do. Of course, we're still playing a lot of the old songs, but like I said, it should be cool. Like I'm pretty excited to hear all the feedback from people when they listen to the album in its entirety. So yeah,
it definitely. I hear what you're talking about when you say it. You guys were in a bad mood when you wrote this, but it's still fun music. It's still really fast and
right.
I don't want to say upbeat, but it's definitely not a downer to listen to,
right? which is good because I really don't want to be a downer. Granted, that's like a lot of the, I guess the inspiration kind of came from very dark parts of our mind. But essentially the way we see it, we always want to have a good time playing on stage, always have a good time just recording in general. I guess because we kind of come from the like the hard rock school. Our favorite bands are just Van Halen, Ozzy Osbourne. Having a good time on stage. They're just, rocking out. And that's essentially what we always do, no matter what. We try to emulate that. And I don't even think we try, we just do that. So, again, I didn't want to be a downer and I was kind of worried about that. But no, after of course, we recorded everything and listened to everything. So, okay, cool. It's not really that depressing. I don't want to depress anyone. I just want people, I don't know, to listen to our music. And if they agree with our reflections or like them and it helps them and it motivates them in certain ways, then I'm very much happy about that.
Very cool. Well, speaking of rock and roll, the guitars on this, again, it's still very neoclassical. Like you said, you've got the waltz, you've got the overture on the album, but it does feel to me that it's a little bit the in between parts are a little bit more shreddy, less arpeggiated. You know, you still do the very classical stuff, transitioning from movement to movement, but the guitar solos themselves seem a little bit more straight energy, shreddy. Was that a conscious decision on the lead guitar?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because I mean, again, I think it's just a lot of the time we don't really just plan that. But it's good for contrast in general. So I guess it's always on my mind as a arranger. I guess I'm the de facto composer or writer for the band. So I kind of have that in my mind, but when it comes down to like a solo section, like that's a little more loose feeling. Yeah, I guess I kind of go for that, and I just wanted to contrast with the rest of the song. It depends on how which song it is. You know, some songs have a lot of neoclassical elements, and then so when it comes to a solo section, I really want to step out of that a little bit and have more of a very loose improv feeling in that solo section. And I think Chase does that as well. I mean, not just that, but he has his own style, which is very much like 80s rock metal inspired and influenced. So he naturally kind of just does that, and I think it works out very well for us. So yeah, we kind of go in there with that idea in mind, like, yeah, I should be contrasting to begin with, but also like I like the improv feel in general, because to this day I don't play the songs correctly when I'm playing, say, previous albums. It's my solo sections. I don't just noodle, but I'll do the solo. I'll do as much as I can that I like to quote from the solo, but I'll add extra stuff. And I think that just kind of adds to the experience in the live setting for us, because I really want to push that. I think all that inspiration came from, like, say, all of Ozzy Osbourne's guitarists. They would do that, change the solo up a little bit, make it more exciting on the spot. So we kind of have that in mind when we write solo sections, to have that same feel.
Yeah, Kirk Hammett was just complaining about that, playing the Master of Puppets solo note for note every night. He's gotten kind of bored of it.
Exactly. And I think it just makes it more exciting, not just for the listener, but also for the performer, trying to try something new. It feels more, it's just more edgy. It's more like, whoa, what's going to happen? It's just more exciting. It's way more exciting to me.
You kind of, I don't want to say hesitated, but that's the best word I have on my mind right now. You kind of hesitated to say that you were like the chief songwriter. So would you say you like bring the skeleton to the band, and then they?
Oh yeah. Okay. But this time around, it's been very much easier for me, I think. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I have my mad scientist phase whenever I'm writing and stuff, and then at a certain point, I start to be like, I overthinking things. Just start, fine tuning at this point, and call it a day, because the writing process just never ends for me. I could always change something and blah blah blah. It's never going to end. But this time around, the rest of the band has helped out a lot more than previously, because back then it was usually just me and my cousin Mario. He was the drummer for the longest time. It was mostly me and him just writing everything, and then that's cool. I had help, but afterwards, now with this album, everyone had input, and I like that. It makes me I like different takes from other musicians, and I'll show them my idea, and if they like, I don't like that, or I can't play it like this, it makes me rethink how it would feel, and I sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I was wrong, like that's actually way better. So I like that very much, and it makes it more, obviously the group effort makes it feel more like a band, I think. So that's what this album is. It's a little more of a band effort than our previous efforts.
That probably explains what I was hearing. Is like, here's the neoclassical section. Those sections are obviously like built, well thought out. Like, okay,
right.
These are the chord changes. These are the hits. and then the more flowy bits, like it explains sort of that change in sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and exactly. I don't want the whole song to be like well constructed. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be like this Baroque fugal piece. The whole song, yeah, you can't have that. So that's definitely some influence from the rest of the guys. Like, yeah, okay, we got to rock too, So that's exactly what happened.
Well, I think that's cool, because those neoclassical bits are impressive. Like you, and
Thank you.
you have to be tight as a band to hit those spots. You know, it's not vamping the same riff over and over. It's like you got to know, it's like, okay, this chord progression is going to change here, and this, and you know, the signature is going to change here. So that's super impressive. But like you said, it's fun to rock out too.
Oh yeah, you know, and I try not to make all those, I guess, complex, thick textures, as you know, too hard to play because again, we still rock out as much as we can during those parts. It's just a very delicate construction, I guess. So if someone's off, ooh, I think it'll be very noticeable. But I don't know, we're very daring, you know. We just still rock out on stage, even during those complex passages and whatnot. I just feel like if we can't play it while rocking out, then what's the point?
Mm. Speaking of playing while you're rocking out, you're also handling all the vocal duties now. You've had
yes, sir,
previous singers in the past. Mm-hmm. So now that you're responsible for the vocals, how has that changed your guitar playing?
You know, it's a really good question. I sometimes think that I didn't really change, but I obviously did. I think I became way more aware of, you know, and it's easier. It's better for writing too. I think making space for the vocals. I didn't really, I guess, pay attention to that too much. I was just like, oh, just riffing, you know, fuck it. And made the vocalist at the time worry about it, but right, it's just like,
you sing around me.
Exactly, yeah. And well, that might be cool at times, but you know, in the end, you gotta serve the song. The song has to be like, you know, above you. It has to be something that you're all like aspiring to achieve. It's above us, you know. Music is, you know, beyond our you know, it's something else. It's like, you know, I guess a religious experience, right? So we have to serve the song somehow. So we can't just be noodling all the time. We can't just fucking have all these things going on to just make it just complex for the sake of being complex. We have to make it, you know, complex, but also universal. So for me, it was an eye-opening experience transitioning to do both vocals and guitar, because I'm like riffing at the same time. Like, okay, first of all, I can't do that. It's hard. I mean, there's some things I would have to practice, you know, and getting used to that, and when whatever. But still, because of that, I started writing, you know, around the riff, or if I had a vocal idea, I would make both ideas kind of bounce back and forth, you know, filling in empty spaces. You know what I mean? Making sure they don't clash too much with each other, you know, and it did change. It did change my perspective of writing, and I think for the better. So yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, if you guys were just like a pure death metal band or pure thrash metal band, you got this cool vocal melody that you've dreamt up. You can just chug on the E, you know, no problem, play it and do your cool melody. But because you guys are Exmortus, does that put pressure on you to like maybe not just chug on the E, but, you know, make something a little complex?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question, because I mean, for the most part, we just go for it. You know, whatever comes out, comes out. Sometimes we have, you know, very complex riffs, and some are just very simple. But I think like sometimes we actually got complaints from the more simpler songs, because yeah, I guess they're expecting just constantly just complex things going on. I don't know. So I keep that in mind. At the same time, I feel like, you know, no matter what, we're doing this for ourselves, and I know it's kind of rude to say to our fans, but not that we don't care about them or their input. It's just that in the end, it's just, this is our expression, and you know, we still keep that in mind. So that's why we try to, like, nowadays, especially more so nowadays, we try to make a good balance of everything within the album. And I think this album, I think we've done that already many times, but on this album, we really try to, you know, have a lot of variety. You know, some songs have, you know, easy riffs or complex, you know, rhythms and stuff, and others, you know, are just somewhat more melodic or blah blah blah, and it just depends. But yeah, we have that in mind, you know, just for the sake of variety, and just to kind of, you know, challenge ourselves.
Yeah, I think that balance is important, and a good way to put it is like, yes, your fans are kind of like your customers, but also you're not politicians, and you're not making decision based on polling numbers either. You're artists. So striking that balance is like an impossible balancing act that you're always working on.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, again, it's not putting anyone down. I just feel like if we did that, I don't think we'd get anything done. I think it'd just be like too much of an influx of opinions and things. It just will make things, it would be a bad time. And I just feel like we're just grateful that the fans still stick around even with whatever changes we have made in the past musically or member wise, blah blah blah. It just it's really nice that fans will stick around even with even though they have their opinions. Oh, you should do this. Want to hear this song? We want more riff. We want more melody. We want more crazy shred. Blah blah blah. I mean, they're there for a reason, and I think we naturally always will come out with any of those kinds of ideas regardless. So I'm just saying for us, we do keep that in mind, and we write that out accordingly for each album, just to have a sense of variety, and of course just to challenge ourselves.
Speaking of the variety of the album, there's a very subtle that I heard melody that kind of repeats every now and again.
Yes.
Throughout the album.
Yes.
And that made me think of like, Pink Floyd did that all the time on like The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here. Is this a concept album?
Yeah, I would say it's somewhat of a concept album. Not so much in like a cohesive story that's like like a complete narrative, but just a concept album, meaning like, I guess in my mind, like just everything kind of follows the same I guess theme. All of these songs are part of a symphony for the dead. A lot of these characters are dead people, are and at least inspired by people from beyond, or just concepts of life after death maybe, or just with spirits or possessions, whatever the case may be. So we wanted to kind of have a repeating motif, if you will. So we have actually a couple of motifs here that are repeated throughout the album. So I was very much inspired by, of course, Pink Floyd and stuff like that, like more modern, but especially from like say Beethoven, Franz Liszt, and Berlioz. They had repeating ideas throughout their works that it just makes for like a really nice cohesive listen when you're listening from the beginning to end. It kind of makes you want to listen to the whole thing in its entirety versus just a part of it. So I hope that works with this album, that listeners will like, oh, I want to hear the whole album again because I like the way that idea develops or whatever. Every time it's heard, it's varied a little bit. And yeah, so like I said, I think I just wanted to do that just to kind of pay homage to Beethoven and David Gilmour at the same time.
My favorite guitar player. But
yeah,
since you put it like that, the motif, that makes it make sense, because that's a very classical thing to do.
Right.
Everything it flows real nice on the album, and then you cap it off with a real left turn. You do that cover of Moonchild. What made you decide to do that cover?
I don't know. I think we were just like kind of preparing to see what the label would want to do with that, because our previous label, Prosthetic, we were they would tell us, oh yeah, you maybe just do a cover and see we could like market it a certain way, a certain like a Japanese release, European release will have that cover. And I guess we were just trying to prepare for that. And it was very last minute though, because we were more focused on our actual originals. So last minute we're like, oh shit, what if we do Moonchild, my Maiden's Moonchild? Because for us, this album, Necrophony, our album, is a very, it's a lot darker for us. And I feel like for Maiden, Seventh Son was a lot darker for them, especially at the time. And I kind of wanted to emphasize that. So we're like, let's choose, I guess, out of all the songs, Moonchild it fits pretty good for our style. I mean, it's not exactly our style, of course, but it wouldn't be too alien. It wouldn't be so alien in our album versus say like other songs in that album, like say Clairvoyant. It's very upbeat in a way. So, yeah, so we decided to do that, and I didn't sing that song because I don't have the pipes for it. So our bassist's brother Chris, from his band Fortress, he just nailed it. He has that vocal range and tone that Bruce Dickinson has, and he nailed it. And I was, we're very impressed with how it came out, and yeah, we just like, yeah, let's put it on the album. And Nuclear Blast, I guess they just, I guess they didn't really want to do like a specific, European Japanese release or something. They just like, just put it on the album. So sick.
Well, that makes it make a lot of sense when you put it in those terms. And that was one of the things that I definitely was like, oh, this sounds different. And now it makes sense because you got a different singer.
Right. Yeah, I know. And I've actually, I watched a review on YouTube about that. And I guess some of them were disappointed because they kind of want clean vocals for the rest of the album. And I guess they assumed it was the same guy. They assumed, I guess it was me. That's interesting because I've always wondered what would Exmortus sound like with clean vocals. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we'd piss off a lot of fans and also maybe excite a lot of fans too. It's another thing, but I don't know. I'm not very confident with my clean singing, especially at that range.
Well,
so yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. I like the growly vocals, but
right.
If you want to sprinkle them in there, test the waters.
I have too, but see when I've done it, I've always done it in like in the extreme sense. So I'll do like really high, like Halford falsetto stuff, and again, it's because I feel like we should be an extreme band. Like we're not super extreme, but we have those extreme qualities, and I want to do extreme vocals. So I usually do the high pitch, screechy stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Maybe the next album I'll fuck around more. We'll see. I don't know yet.
Well, last question before I let you go. I see you got the green screen behind you, and I really appreciate that you came with a mic and headphones. That makes my life so much easier. Makes me wonder, do you have like do you do like a stream as well with Exmortus?
I do.
Like a show?
I stream. I'm trying to be consistent. It's been a while, but I've been busy lately. But I stream on my own channel on Twitch, Shred Talk. I used to do it with the former guitarist of Bonded by Blood, Alex Lee. He's now in Devil Driver. He's not able to do it anymore, so he gave me the blessing just to carry on with it. And so I've been streaming almost every week, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a week. Shred Talk, twitch.tv/Shred Talk. I've been doing that, so I'm just using that setup for right now because I don't want you to hear random sounds and better quality than on my phone or something.
Very much appreciated. I've had to just trash some interviews because they're just yelling into their laptop, and I'm like, oh, this is going to sound terrible.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate, and I'm barely getting into this stuff too. So I'm like barely learning how to work all this stuff. But no, it's totally worth it, the investment and everything. Yeah.
Just having a mic and headphones just makes all the difference in the world.
It does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Scott from Fallujah, he also streams, and that was one of the better sounding ones too, because he just understands how to do it, and it's
he's great. No, he's great. I love his channel. Yeah, he's got a lot of followers. Great following. Very, very, very cool show too.
Well, Shred Talk, I will definitely put the link for that in the description. Y'all check that out. But most importantly, Necrophony, August 28th, Nuclear Blast. And also, I'll put your website and social media so they can catch you guys on tour. Very much appreciated, Conan. Thank you so much for joining us on Heavy Metal Philosophy.
Thank you so much. Pleasure's mine.